Thank you so much, Katarina, and thank you, Naventus team, to invite me to this great event. I'm happy to see so many here. I came from Düsseldorf yesterday for a biotech event, and it was almost like flying with a private jet because it was just me and the crew on the plane. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, first, to highlight our market and then get deeper into the ESG, climate-friendly sector. So, again, I came from Germany, and a little bit, when we talk about what's happening here in Sweden related to public companies, they are so surprised. They can't believe that we have a so active market here in small Sweden. And again, when we look into the number, this is Nasdaq Nordic. We list more than 350 companies in the Nordic since 2016. That's incredible. And that goes back to the strong equity culture that we have here in Sweden, that maybe we don't think about it because it's so natural for us. And we're also happy to see that we have the mix of these small, growing companies, but we were also happy to see that Traton, for example, they decided to do a dual listing and not just go for Germany. So we can actually attract the largest company and the small company. What we see today in our pipeline is that we also have a lot of medium-sized company that looking for IPO during 2020. And some of them were supposed to list with us during last year, but we all know what's happened during 2018, October, November, when the market was hit quite hardly, so they postponed the IPO. So we will see, we all know what's happened with Corona. We are a little bit happy with that. The most of the listings are in place in the end of Q2 and Q4. So actually the roadshow have not started yet. So now I think it's more a little bit what's happened with the Corona, but also in terms of valuation. Nasdaq First North. This is relevant to talk about because the most of the ESG companies, the climate-friendly company, they start the journey on First North. So if we look into what's happening in the Nordics and the rest of EU, we actually list more company in the Nordic than the rest of Europe when you're looking into MTF, growth platform, multi-trading platform, than First North. So this is the reason why I'm, as a speaker for Nasdaq, are invited to EU, a lot of events, because they're asking us if we can just put the Nasdaq in France or Belgium. But it's not hard to put the equity culture into that areas. Okay, First North, more than 360 companies. We have 25 non-Nordic companies. And actually in our pipeline right now, it's about 10-15% of the companies are non-Nordic company. If they will end up in our market, that's another story. But we receive telephone call from advisor, investors, and companies every day. So this is something that we really try to see if we can be the leading European growth market. Number of listings was 40 last year, and that's a mix of IPO, 25, and direct listing also include moves from our competitors. It was more than 260 transactions in terms of capital raise when you include both IPOs and secondaries. I will get deeper into that. And the capital raised on First North was 2.1 billion euro. As you can see, technology and healthcare are the largest part in terms of sectors, but again, the most of the companies that end up in the First North have a new technology in one sector. So either it's Cleantech, food tech, agri-tech, whatever. So it's really hard to say if that's consumer goods or tech solutions. This is the best slide, I think, to prove the strength of our market. When you're looking at First Snort, that's not an exit market. That's a market for growth. So you see in the purple, that's the capital raised through IPO, and the rest is for secondaries. So it actually proves that the investors are there to support you on your growth journey. Of course, it's related to if you have delivered on your expectations, but still, I think this is a very impressive slide. If you, again, talking to non-Nordic countries, even in Denmark when they have problem with early stage funding companies, you just have the private market. So especially in sectors like Cleantech, where the VCs were not so active before, this has been the only road for a company like Ferroamp, for example. He said that he was asking all the VC, but no one was interested in the company. And then they went listed on First North and were able to raise capital, not just through the IPO, but actually after 4 months from listing. Cleantech sector. I don't know if Boel is here in the room. I steal some of your pictures when you had the presentation at Nasdaq. This is, of course, the capital, the investments come from the larger pictures, and we launched an ESG guide in the reporting guide 2017. Our Nasdaq US was not ready to adapt that into their Nasdaq US at that time. 2019, when we released 2.0, they were there and support. So now we have a global guide. And now you see guys like Larry Fink, when they go out and say that ESG will be a part of every investment portfolio manager's decisions. That makes sense. You also heard Goldman Sachs is not going to do any IPO if they don't see diversity in the management and board. We have the climate goal, the Paris deal. We have the coal-dioxide neutral by 2050. So a lot of things has happened that push investments into this area. So if you're a portfolio manager today, quite much it's not just to understand who's the profitable companies or not, or who's going to be the winning sector in the future. Again, this is looking to the transition to renewable energy that will need a lot of investments. And today, I think every country doing their own in terms of investment from the government money. And the good thing with my job is that I learn a lot. I didn't know that Energimyndigheten, their portfolio consists 180 companies. And also when you talk to the European Commission, they will put a lot of money into this sector, especially for the one that takes a little bit of longer life cycles. We also see a lot of VCs now are active in this sector. And we as an exchange, we also want to be a part of this, for us, very important sector. So again, this is numbers that show that greentech actually stands for 35 billion Swedish crowns in terms of export. And what's even more interesting to see that the Swedish scale-up and startup sectors have a turnover now of 9 billion Swedish crowns. And what's happened right now that there are many more companies that are ready for investments. A few years ago, it was more like a project, almost no revenue. But now, today, you actually, if you are interested, you can actually find quite many companies that maybe have not positive cash flow, but still they receive revenues. Also in terms of growth, this was Deloitte top 50 companies, 6 of them was within Cleantech. In terms of what I talk about, the cash coming in, moving from sectors that are not ESG friendly into the sustainable funds, you see a dramatic change. So if you look into 2019, you really saw that something happened. And again, a little bit before, it was a lack of companies to invest in, especially in the Nordics. So now if you're a portfolio manager for a sustainable fund, there's much more opportunity than for just 2-3 years ago. These slides also show a little bit about the numbers and the deals in Sweden. So I think that looking from the more international point of view, Sweden really stands out, not just for being good entrepreneurs, but also in terms of supporting from private investors. Okay, look into Nasdaq. We are trying to be the leading exchange for growth companies within this sector. So we are doing a lot of activities. We will be part of Berlin Eco Summit in May, if that happens. We are here to support this event. We were part of Sweden's Tech Venture Day. So this is an area where we as a company really want to be part of. And we see growth, not that if you look into these companies, it's not just within one sector. You have wind power, you have food tech, you have sun energy coming from the sun, from the wind. So actually, you can't see that it's just one sector. It's actually quite a broad mix of climate-friendly companies that list with us. And we have more than 30 companies within the Cleantech sector listed in the Nordics. The average market cap is 76 million euro. And then consider that you must be almost a 500 million euro company to list in any other countries in Europe. The average capital raised is 8 million euro. And when we look at it together, it has been a great journey for investors. With that said, some of those company that you saw on this previous slide, it was actually, they went public very early. So I think they have quite much more to prove to the market in terms of revenues. This just show the deals, the IPO deals during 2019. And you see from the lowest part, it was just an IPO 1.8 million euro, and then you have the whole range up. So again, we are a growth market. And you can also see that almost all of these companies have chosen not to go to the regulated market than to go to First North. Feel free to ask me questions. One question that I received, okay, what's happening in terms of trading in Cleantech company? If you compare it to gaming company or other consumer product companies, the liquidity is much better there compared to Cleantech. Yeah, but is it really true? When we looked at the most traded 10 shares, you can see that you have PowerCell, you have Clean Air and Climon. So actually, 3 of the 10 most traded companies on Nasdaq First North are in the Cleantech space. Yes, I think that was it. Again, Nasdaq, we really want to highlight climate-friendly company. We do extremely strong in sustainable bonds. We do an ESG program, ESG reporting guidelines. So feel free to contact me, and you have my number there, Niclas Holmberg. And yeah, if you want to discuss IPO in the Nordic markets, feel free to reach out. Thank you.